Lee's fingers moved quickly across her keyboard as she replayed the alien message for the 5th time. Something wasn't right. The words were perfect, too perfect. Every language, every dialect, even the smallest sounds were exact copies of human speech. But there was a pattern hidden in the transmission itself. "Captain Park," she called out, her voice cutting through the noise of the busy command center. "I found something in their signal." Jai-Ho rushed over, his tablet showing messages from defense commands around the world. 17 minutes remained until the aliens' deadline. "What is it?" "Look at this." Hae-Newell pointed to her screen. "Their transmission isn't just carrying voice and video. There's a massive amount of extra data hidden inside. They're broadcasting their entire communication protocols to us." "Why would they do that?" Jai-Ho leaned closer, studying the streams of data. "Because they're proud," Hae-Newell said, her eyes lighting up with understanding. "They want to show us how advanced they are. Every transmission between their ships is encoded the same way. They think their system is perfect, that no one could break it or use it against them." The command center's main door slid open. A young woman in civilian clothes rushed in, carrying a laptop covered in stickers. 2 security guards followed her, looking confused. "This is Sun-Mi Kang," Ta-One explained quickly. "She's the best hacker in South Korea. I called her as soon as we got the alien message." "A civilian." Jai-Ho started to object, but Sun-Mi was already speaking. "Their whole system is built on perfect math," she said, setting up her laptop next to Hae-Newell. "But that's their weakness. They don't understand human chaos." She pointed to her screen, showing lines of code. "Look, they're using quantum encryption that took centuries to develop. But they never considered that someone might just throw random garbage data at their systems." Hae-Newell's eyes widened, like trying to solve a perfect equation by spilling coffee on the paper. "Exactly." Sun-Mi grinned. "They're so focused on perfection that they forgot about basic system crashes. Their computers don't know how to handle errors because they think they've eliminated all possible errors." Jai-Ho looked at the clock. 15 minutes left. Around him, the command center was filled with activity as military and civilian personnel worked together. Reports were coming in from around the world. Everyone had noticed different things about the alien transmission. "Sir," Ta-One called from his station. "The Chinese Space Command found something else. The alien ships are moving in patterns that match ancient Earth military formations. They're copying strategies from our history books." Jai-Ho walked to the center of the room. "Listen up," he called out. Everyone turned to face him. "The aliens think they know everything about us because they've studied our past. But they don't understand what makes humans special. We don't just learn from history, we change it." He turned to Hae-Newell. "Can you send messages using their communication system?" "Yes, sir. They gave us everything we need in their own transmission." "Good. Send word to every defense command on Earth. Tell them what we found." He looked at Sun-Mi. "How fast can you write a computer virus that breaks every rule of good programming?" Sun-Mi's smile grew wider. "Give me 5 minutes. It'll be the worst code ever written. Their perfect systems won't know what hit them." "Do it." Jai-Ho checked the clock again. 13 minutes remained. They spent centuries learning how to fight the humans they read about in history books. But they're not fighting history. They're fighting us, right now, today. He picked up his tablet and started typing orders. They trained to fight a perfect war against a predictable enemy. Instead, they're going to face every crazy idea and impossible plan we can create in the next 13 minutes. Around the room, people worked with renewed energy. Hae-Newell sent messages to Earth's defenders using the aliens' own communication system. Sun-Mi wrote computer code that broke every rule of programming. Ta-One coordinated with military commands worldwide, preparing for a battle unlike any in human history. The aliens had trained for centuries to be perfect. Humanity had minutes to be impossible. And impossible was what humans did best. Supreme Commander Durak watched in horror as his perfect invasion force fell into complete chaos. His command screen showed hundreds of error messages. Ship captains were ignoring orders. Weapons systems were shutting down. And the humans kept attacking in ways that made no sense at all. "Impossible," he muttered. "We trained for everything." In the Korean Space Defense Command Center, Lieutenant Ta-won spotted something important on his screen. "Captain, their ships are starting to crash into each other." Jai-ho rushed to Ta-won's station. The tactical display showed alien ships moving in confused patterns. When they tried to dodge the swarms of drones and space debris, they forgot about their nearby ships. Their perfect formation training was now causing accidents. "Their whole command structure is breaking down," Hae-Nul reported, listening to the alien communications. Ship captains are arguing about which training protocol to follow. Some want to retreat, others want to attack, and no one can agree. Sun Mai hadn't stopped working on her computer viruses. Each time the aliens thought they had cleaned their systems, she sent them something new and messier. "Their computers are having a meltdown," she said with a grin. "They're getting error messages in 17 different languages, including Klingon." "Klingon?" Jai-ho asked, surprised. "I got bored and creative." Sun Mai shrugged. "Their perfect translation systems are trying to understand it. They can't ignore any message because their training says all data might be important." Major Yuna's face appeared on the main screen. Her hair was messy, and she looked tired, but she was smiling. "Captain, you won't believe what we're doing now. Someone connected their video game controllers to the drones. We're flying them like it's a giant multiplayer game." The command center crew watched as drones performed impossible moves, guided by gamers who had spent years mastering complex flight controls. The alien gunners, trained to target traditional military aircraft, couldn't hit these randomly moving targets. "Their ships are falling back," Ta-won announced excitedly. "The smaller ones are retreating to higher orbits. They can't handle all our different attacks at once." Hae-Nul's eyes widened as she listened to her headphones. "Sir, you need to hear this." She pressed some buttons, and Supreme Commander Dorak's voice filled the room. The alien leader sounded panicked. "All ships, fall back to position Alpha." "No, delay that. Fall back to Beta." "Warning. Unknown computer virus detected." "Warning. Multiple small objects approaching." "Warning. Debris field expanding." "Unable to process tactical situation." "Unable to." The transmission cutoff as another wave of Sun Mai's viruses hit their communications. On the main screen, they could see the alien fleet breaking apart. Ships moved in different directions, their perfect coordination shattered. "They're running away from garbage." Sun Mai laughed, pointing at her screen. "I just made their sensors think that every piece of space debris is a nuclear weapon. Their computers are overloading trying to track thousands of threats that are really just empty food containers." Jai-ho smiled as he watched the mighty invasion fleet retreat from attacks by civilian drones, reprogrammed satellites, and space station trash. "Send word to all Earth forces," he ordered. "Push them harder. Don't let them regroup and remember their training." Around the world, humans kept creating new ways to fight. Radio operators broadcast conflicting orders in alien languages. Hackers worldwide joined Sun Mai in sending broken code to alien computers. Every satellite that could still move became a weapon, changing orbits randomly to confuse alien tacticians. "Sir," Hae-Nul said suddenly, "I'm picking up a new transmission from their command ship. It's a retreat order." "They're actually retreating." The command center erupted in cheers. On every screen, they could see alien ships turning away from Earth. The fleet that had trained for centuries was running away from humans who had prepared in minutes. "Centuries of training," Jai-ho said quietly, "defeated by 20 minutes of human creativity. I wonder if they'll ever understand what went wrong." "Oh, they'll figure it out," Sun Mai replied, launching one final virus. "Right after they finished dealing with all the computer viruses I hid in their retreat coordinates." Lieutenant Ta-won Kim stood at the main display screen, watching the alien ships move into position. His eyes narrowed as he noticed something odd about their formation. He had seen this pattern before, but not in any modern military training. "Captain," he called out, waving Jai-Ho over. "Look at how they're positioning their ships. It's exactly like the Battle of Waterloo from 1815. Jai-Ho rushed to his side, coffee cup still in hand. "What do you mean?" "See these larger ships here?" Taiwan pointed to several spots on the screen. "They're arranged just like Napoleon's artillery positions. And these smaller ships, they're copying the cavalry formations. They're treating space like a flat battlefield from Earth's history." Around them, the command center buzzed with activity. 10 minutes remained until the aliens' deadline. Hae-Newell was busy sending messages through the aliens' own network, while Sun-Mi typed furiously at her laptop, creating what she called the messiest computer virus in history. "Sir," a young officer ran up with a tablet, "we're getting reports from NASA. The alien ships always turn at perfect 90-degree angles. They never take shortcuts or curved paths. It's like they're following a rulebook that says space battles must be fought like naval battles from the 1800s. Jai-Ho's eyes lit up. They studied our history so well that they became trapped by it. Taiwan, what would Napoleon never have expected at Waterloo? An attack from above, Taiwan answered quickly. He was fighting on flat ground. But we're in space. We can attack from any direction. The captain grabbed his phone and dialed quickly. "This is Captain Park. I need to speak to the commander of the satellite control station. Now." He waited a moment. "Sir, how many dead satellites do we have in orbit? The ones we can still send basic commands to." The answer made him smile. "Perfect. Can you change their orbits? Make them look like they're falling." He listened again. "Do it. Make it look like space junk falling toward Earth. The aliens will expect us to attack up from the ground, just like in their history books." Taiwan caught on quickly. "The dead satellites will look like debris, but we can make them crash right into the aliens' perfect formation." "Exactly," Jai-Ho said. "Hae-Newell, tell every space agency to do the same. Any satellite that can still move, even a little, should be aimed at the alien fleet." Sun-Mi looked up from her laptop. "My virus is ready. It's the worst code I've ever written. It doesn't even try to hack their systems. It just fills them with nonsense data until they crash. Like throwing a bucket of water on an old computer," Hae-Newell added with a grin. 8 minutes remained. The command center was now full of people from different departments. Scientists worked with military officers, computer experts talked to satellite controllers, and everyone had ideas that broke the normal rules of space combat. "Sir," Taiwan called out again. "Look at this. When the aliens move their ships, the small ones always wait for orders from the big ones. Their chain of command is too perfect. No one makes any decisions without checking with their leaders first. Then we'll give them too many things to think about," Jai-Ho said. He turned to address the room. "Listen up. The aliens expect us to fight like we did in history books. They want a clean, organized battle with clear front lines and proper military formations. Instead, we're going to give them chaos." He pointed to different groups around the room. "I want attack plans that would make ancient generals cry. Think of the craziest ways to fight in space. Nothing is too strange if it works." The room burst into activity again. Someone suggested using weather satellites to blind alien sensors with light reflections. Another person wanted to redirect space junk to create a field of debris around Earth. Each idea was crazier than the last, and that was exactly what they needed. 7 minutes, Hae-Newell announced. Jai-Ho nodded. "Enough time to show them why humans are so dangerous. We don't follow the rules of history. We make new ones." The aliens had trained for centuries to fight the perfect battle, but no one had trained them to fight whatever this was going to be. And that was humanity's greatest advantage. Supreme Commander Durack stared at his command screen in disbelief. Nothing made sense anymore. His fleet's perfect formation was broken. His communication system was filled with random human data. And now his sensors showed hundreds of small objects moving toward his ships in completely illogical patterns. Meanwhile, in the Korean Space Defense Command Center, Captain Jai-ho Park watched the chaos with satisfaction. 2 minutes until their deadline, he announced. Time for Phase 2. Major Yuna Choi's face appeared on one of the screens. She was at a civilian airport, surrounded by dozens of ordinary delivery drones. "We're ready, Captain. Every delivery company in Korea gave us their drones. They're not much, but there are thousands of them." "Same here," came voices from other screens. Officials from around the world reported similar preparations. Civilian drones, modified in minutes to carry small explosive charges, were ready to launch. Their ship's sensors are designed to track military weapons, Todd One explained. They don't even see these tiny drones as a threat, just like they didn't see our dead satellites as weapons. Sun Mai hadn't stopped typing since her first virus attack. "I'm sending them fake sensor data now, making their computers think they're seeing full-sized fighter jets instead of drones. Their targeting systems won't know what to shoot at." 1 minute, Hey Newell called out. Jai-ho picked up his phone. "All units, prepare to launch. Remember, no pattern, no formation, no plan. Random chaos is our strategy." The aliens had finally managed to clear away the last of the falling satellites. Their ships were trying to reform their perfect battle lines. On the main screen, Supreme Commander Dorak's face appeared again, though the image kept breaking up. "Your primitive attacks have failed," the alien commander said, though he looked less confident now. "Your time is up. Prepare for launch everything," Jeho ordered. Across the Earth, thousands of civilian drones took to the sky. Delivery drones, camera drones, even toy drones, all flying in random patterns toward the alien fleet. At the same time, Sun Mi's virus made the alien sensors go crazy, showing them phantom armies and ghost fleets. "They're trying to shoot the fake targets," Todd One shouted excitedly. "Their weapons are firing at empty space while the real drones slip through." The first wave of drones reached the alien ships. Small explosions peppered their hulls. The damage wasn't severe, but that wasn't the point. The aliens' perfect training had never prepared them for attacks from thousands of tiny, unpredictable targets. "Their ships are breaking formation completely," Hey Newell reported. "Each captain is choosing different targets. Some are shooting at our fake sensor readings, others at the drones, and some are still trying to follow their original battle plan." On his command ship, Dorak was shouting orders that no one could hear through the broken communication system. His perfect fleet was falling into chaos. Ships nearly collided as they tried to dodge drones while following strict formation rules. Weapons fired randomly at sensor ghosts created by Sun Mi's virus. 30 seconds since their deadline, Todd One announced, "And we're the ones attacking them." Major Yuna's voice came through again. "Second wave of drones launching now. We're using the small racing drones this time. They're faster and harder to hit." Jai-ho watched as the alien fleet, which had trained for centuries for this invasion, was being defeated by delivery drones and computer viruses. Their rigid training and perfect systems had become a weakness. They couldn't adapt to humanity's chaotic, improvised defense. "Look," Sun Mi pointed at her screen. "Some of their ships are starting to retreat. Their computers are so confused that they're activating their emergency protocols." The command center erupted in cheers as they watched several alien ships turn around, their perfect formation forgotten. Centuries of training were useless against 20 minutes of human creativity and desperation. "Send word to all Earth forces," Jai-ho ordered with a smile. "Push them harder. Show them why you should never give humans time to get creative, even if it's just 20 minutes. On the main screen of Korean Space Defense Command, Supreme Commander Dorak's face appeared one last time. The alien leader looked completely lost, his perfect military bearings shattered. "This is impossible," he said, his voice breaking up through static. "We trained for every scenario, every possible battle plan. How could you?" His image disappeared in a burst of static as Sun Mi's latest virus hit their systems. Their main fleet is breaking up into small groups, Ta-1 reported, watching his tactical display. Each ship is trying to escape in a different direction. There's no coordination anymore. Hanu listened to her headphones, tracking alien communications. Their command structure has completely collapsed. Ship captains are ignoring orders and running away. Some are even arguing about which escape route is the correct one according to their training. Major Yuna's drone squadrons continued their relentless attack. Civilian drones, guided by gamers and racing champions, harassed the retreating alien ships. Every time the aliens thought they had found a safe escape route, they found it blocked by more drones, space debris, or reprogrammed satellites. "Look at this," Sun Mi called out excitedly. "Their training protocols are fighting each other. When one ship finds a solution to our attacks, they try to share it with the fleet. But my viruses have mixed up all their training files. They're getting garbage data mixed with real tactics." Jaiho watched as the mighty alien fleet, which had arrived ready for a perfect invasion, fell into complete disarray. "They never understood what they were really fighting," he said. "They prepared to fight Earth's armies, but instead they faced Earth's creativity. Around the world, humans kept adding to the chaos. Weather satellites turned their sensing equipment into makeshift weapons, blinding alien sensors with focused light beams. Amateur radio operators broadcast fake orders in alien languages. Even orbital garbage collectors became weapons, spraying clouds of magnetic debris that stuck to alien ship hulls. "Sir," Ta-1 pointed to his screen. "Their flagship is trying to restore order. They're broadcasting some kind of master command code to all ships." "Perfect timing." Sun Mi grinned. She hit a final key on her computer. "I just sent them a virus that turns their command codes into cat videos." The command center crew watched in amazement as the alien flagship's signals turned into endless streams of Earth cat videos. Their perfect communication system, designed to coordinate a massive invasion fleet, was now broadcasting thousands of cats playing with laser pointers. That's actually genius," Haynul said, trying not to laugh. "Their computers have to process every transmission as potentially important military data. They can't ignore anything." Major Yuna's voice came through the speakers. "Captain, you should see this. The alien ships are so confused by all the cat videos that they're not even shooting at our drones anymore. Their gunners are probably trying to figure out why Earth's military communications consist of small furry animals chasing red dots." Jaiho couldn't help but smile. The aliens had spent centuries preparing for a serious military confrontation. Instead, they were being defeated by a combination of civilian technology, creative thinking, and cat videos. "Their rear ships are starting to jump away," Ta-1 announced. "They're using their faster-than-light drives to retreat. But they're not even forming up properly first. They're just running." Sun Mi typed a few more commands, sending them one last surprise. "I packed all their navigation computers with randomized data. They'll be calculating their jump coordinates for hours before they figure out what's real and what's not." The command center erupted in cheers as more alien ships disappeared into faster-than-light travel. The invasion fleet that had trained for centuries was running away from an enemy that had prepared in minutes. "Send word to all Earth Defense Forces," Jaiho ordered. "The enemy is retreating, but keep up the pressure until the last ship is gone. Show them why you should never give humans time to get creative, even if it's just 20 minutes." Through the command center's windows, they could see flashes in the sky as alien ships fled Earth orbit. Their perfect invasion had been ruined by humanity's chaos. Their centuries of training had been defeated by 20 minutes of desperate innovation. "I wonder," Haynul said softly, "what they'll tell their leaders back home about how they lost to a planet that fought them with delivery drones and cat videos." Major Yuna Choi stood in the airport control tower, watching waves of civilian drones fly toward the alien fleet. Next to her, teenagers who had won drone racing competitions were controlling the fastest drones, making them dodge alien weapons with skills learned from video games. "Those ships can't hit what they can't predict," one young drone pilot said, making his drone spin and weave through the alien defense fire. "It's just like the bonus level in Space Racers 3. Back at the Korean Space Defense Command Center, Captain Jae-ho watched the battle unfold. The aliens' perfect formations had completely fallen apart. Their ships moved in confused patterns, still trying to follow their centuries of training, while facing attacks they had never imagined possible. "Sir," Hae-Newell called out, "we're picking up transmissions between their ships. Their commanders are arguing with each other." Sun Mai, still typing at her computer, laughed. "Their command structure is breaking down. Each ship captain wants to follow the original plan, but they can't agree on which part of their training applies to, whatever this is." On the main screen, they could see the alien ships attempting different strategies. Some tried to maintain their historic battle formations. Others chased after the swarms of drones. A few had retreated to higher orbits, their perfect systems overwhelmed by Sunmi's messy computer code. "Captain," Ta-1 reported, "NASA just launched their surprise. They're using the space station's garbage disposal units as weapons." Jae-ho smiled. The International Space Station was firing its trash into space. Simple garbage that would float toward the alien fleet. The aliens' advanced sensors saw every piece of trash as a potential threat, forcing them to waste time and energy analyzing ham sandwiches and empty water bottles. "Their whole battle plan is falling apart," Hae-Newell said. "They train to fight armies, not creative humans with household technology." Major Yuna's voice came through the communication system. "Ground teams report the aliens are trying to adapt. They're programming their weapons to target the drones, but we're already changing tactics." On her screen, they could see civilian hobbyists connecting their model airplanes to drone controls. The aliens had just figured out how to shoot down quadcopter drones, and now they faced a swarm of different flying devices they had never trained for. "Look at their ships," Ta-1 pointed to his tactical display. "When they try to adapt to one of our attacks, they completely forget about the others. They can't handle multiple changes at once." He was right. When alien ships focused on the drones, they lost track of the space debris. When they dealt with the debris, Sunmi's virus would crash their computers again. Their perfect training had taught them to solve one problem at a time, but humans were creating new problems faster than the aliens could adapt. "Their training is like a heavyweight," Sunmi said, launching another virus attack. "They can't move freely because they're carrying centuries of rules and procedures. But we're making everything up as we go." Jae-ho walked to the center of the room. "Send word to all Earth Defense Forces. The aliens are trying to adapt to our current attacks. Time to change everything again." Around the world, humans were already thinking of new ideas. Weather satellites turned their sensors into makeshift weapons. Radio telescopes broadcast conflicting signals to confuse alien communications. Civilian satellites changed their orbits randomly, making it impossible for the aliens to predict Earth's defensive positions. "Major Yuna," Jae-ho called through the comm system. "How many more surprises do your teams have ready?" "Sir, we have grandmothers here offering their garden drones, kids reprogramming toy rockets, and I just got word that someone figured out how to launch their Christmas light decorations into space. The aliens learned to stop one thing, and we hit them with 10 new ideas." The command center crew laughed. Through the windows, they could see flashes in the night sky as the mighty alien fleet, trained for centuries in the art of perfect warfare, was being defeated by humanity's endless creativity and willingness to try absolutely anything that might work. Captain Jae-ho Park stared at his coffee cup, watching the dark liquid swirl as he stirred it. The night shift at Korean Space Defense Command was usually quiet. Too quiet. He glanced at the large digital clock on the wall. 2:43 a.m. 4 more hours until his shift ended. The command center hummed with the soft sounds of computers and quiet conversations. Screens covered the walls, showing different parts of Earth's space neighborhood. Some tracked satellites, Others watched for space junk, and a few kept an eye out for any unusual activity. "Captain, you might want to see this." Haynul's voice cut through the quiet room. She sat at her station, frowning at her screen. Jiho knew Haynul well enough to recognize when something was wrong. In 3 years of working together, she had never raised a false alarm. He walked over to her station, coffee forgotten on his desk. "What do you have?" "Multiple objects just appeared near the moon. They're big, sir. Really big." Haynul's fingers flew across her keyboard, bringing up more detailed readings. "And they're slowing down. Whatever they are, they were moving faster than light, until a few moments ago." Jiho felt his heart skip a beat. Faster than light. Those 3 words changed everything. "Show me," he said, keeping his voice steady. The main screen lit up with the sensor data. 12 objects, each larger than an aircraft carrier, had appeared on the far side of the moon. They moved with purpose, their formation too perfect to be natural. As the command center staff watched, more objects appeared behind the first group. "Get me a direct line to the defense minister," Jiho ordered. "And someone wake up the science team. I want to know everything about these objects." Before anyone could move, every screen in the command center flickered. The image of a creature appeared, humanoid but clearly not human. Its skin had a metallic sheen, and its eyes glowed with an inner light. The alien wore what looked like a military uniform, decorated with strange symbols. "People of Earth," the creature spoke in perfect Korean. "I am Supreme Commander Dorak of the Stellar Dominion. We have studied your world for centuries. We know your languages, your cultures, your military capabilities, and your weaknesses." The alien's voice carried a hint of pride. "We have trained for this moment for generations." Jiho watched as similar messages played in other languages on different screens. English, Chinese, Russian, and more. All delivered with perfect pronunciation and grammar. "Sir," Ta-1 called from his station. "I'm picking up energy readings from their ships. They're positioning themselves in attack formation." The alien commander continued speaking. "Your world has resources we require. We have prepared for every possible scenario of resistance. Our warriors have trained for centuries to overcome any defense you might mount." Durak's expression shifted into what might have been a smile. "You have 20 minutes to surrender. After that, we will take what we want by force." The screens returned to normal, leaving the command center in stunned silence. Jiho looked around at his team. They had trained for many scenarios, but first contact with hostile aliens hadn't been one of them. Yet he saw determination in their eyes, not fear. "Get me the defense minister," he repeated, "and contact every major space defense facility worldwide. They'll have received the same message." He turned to his tactical officer. "Ta-1, I want everything we have on those ships. Size, weapons, weaknesses, everything." As his team sprang into action, Jiho allowed himself a small smile. The aliens had trained for centuries, preparing for every possibility. But they had made one crucial mistake. They had told Earth exactly how long they had trained, and in doing so, they had revealed their greatest weakness. They were predictable. "They've spent centuries learning how to fight us," he muttered, "but they never learned how to think like us." The next 20 minutes would prove just how expensive that mistake would be. Behind him, the clock on the wall changed to 2:45 a.m. The countdown had begun. 3 days after the failed invasion, Captain Jiho Park sat in the Korean Space Defense Command briefing room. Around the table sat the unlikely heroes who had helped save Earth. Hae-Nu Lee with her communication skills, Ta-1 Kim who had spotted the aliens' rigid tactics, Sun Mei-Kang who had crashed alien computers with messy code, and Major Yuna Choi who had led the drone counterattack. "The last alien ship jumped away an hour ago," Hae-Nu reported, checking her tablet. "They're gone. But they left us some nice presents," Sun Mai added with a grin. Several alien ships had been so damaged or confused that their crews had abandoned them in orbit. Earth now had actual alien technology to study. The thing I still can't believe, Ta said, is how they trained for centuries, but never considered that we might not fight the way they expected. Major Yuna nodded. They planned for every historical battle strategy they could find, but they never planned for delivery drones and cat videos. Jai-Ho looked around the room. The walls were covered with pictures and data from the battle. One screen showed the aliens' perfect formation when they first arrived. Another showed the chaos of their retreat, with ships flying in random directions to escape Earth's improvised weapons. We found something interesting in their computers, Sun Mai said, pulling up some files on the main screen. They had detailed plans for fighting every major battle in Earth's history. They could have won at Waterloo, Gettysburg, or D-Day. But they had no plan for fighting a planet full of creative humans with internet access and too many ideas. Newell laughed. They trained to fight soldiers, but instead they faced teenagers with video game controllers and grandmothers offering their garden drones. The best part, Todd added, was how their perfect training made everything worse. They couldn't ignore any threat, no matter how small, because their rules said everything might be important. Jai-Ho nodded. So when we attacked them with everything from satellites to space station garbage, their systems tried to analyze it all. They overloaded trying to find military significance in cat videos and empty food containers. The room fell quiet for a moment as they thought about what they had achieved. Humanity had faced an alien fleet that had trained for centuries, and they had won with only 20 minutes of preparation. We got a final message from them, Newell said softly, just before their last ship jumped away. Want to hear it? Everyone nodded. Newell pressed a button, and Supreme Commander Dorak's voice filled the room. The alien leader sounded tired and confused. Log entry, final report. We trained for centuries to be perfect. We studied every battle in Earth's history. We prepared for every strategy they had ever used. But we failed because we trained to fight the humans of the past, not the humans of today. They defeated us not with perfect plans, but with constant change and creativity. Perhaps perfection is not as powerful as adaptation. He's right, Major Yuna said. Their perfect training became their biggest weakness. They couldn't adapt or try new things because they always had to follow their rules. Meanwhile, Sun Mai added, we just made everything up as we went along. Every time they figured out how to stop one of our attacks, we had already changed to something new. Jai-Ho stood up and walked to the window. The morning sun was rising over Seoul, its light reflecting off abandoned alien ships now in orbit around Earth. We should send them a message, he said with a smile. Thank them for teaching us an important lesson. Don't spend centuries training for the perfect battle. Instead, train to be creative and ready for anything. Should we tell them about all the new ideas we've come up with since they left? Ta-Won asked, just in case they think about coming back. Everyone laughed. Humanity had learned they could face any threat, no matter how well prepared it was. Because while the aliens had spent centuries training to be perfect, humans had spent their whole history learning to adapt, improvise, and overcome. And 20 minutes of human creativity would always beat centuries of perfect training. Sun Mei-Kang had never thought she would help save the world by writing bad computer code. Yet here, she was in the Korean Space Defense Command Center, putting the finishing touches on what she called her mess of a virus. It's ready, she announced, pushing her laptop away. I broke every rule of coding. It's like sending them a digital tornado. Newell leaned over to look at the screen. What does it do? Everything and nothing. Sun Mei grinned. It sends random commands, starts processes, and never finishes them. Asks for password verification 1,000 times per second. Their perfect computers won't know how to handle such messy code. 6 minutes remained until the aliens' deadline. Captain Jeho Park walked over to their station. Will it work? Their systems are too perfect, Sun Mai explained. They expect everything to follow rules. This virus breaks all the rules. It's like trying to play chess with someone who keeps eating the pieces. Across the room, Taiwan was coordinating with space agencies worldwide. Dead satellites were slowly changing their orbits, looking like harmless space junk to the alien sensors. The old satellites would crash into the alien fleet's perfect formation, forcing them to break their carefully planned positions. "Captain," Hey Newell called out, "the aliens are broadcasting again." Supreme Commander Dorak's face appeared on the main screen. The alien leader looked confident, even smug. "Your time grows short, humans. We see no signs of surrender. We see no signs of preparation for battle. Have you accepted your defeat so easily?" Jaiho smiled. The aliens couldn't see the chaos humanity was about to unleash. They were too focused on looking for traditional military responses. "Now," he ordered. Newell pressed a button, sending Sunmi's virus through the aliens' own communication network. At the same time, Ta-1 gave the signal to begin the satellite attack. On the main screen, Durak's image flickered. The alien commander frowned, pressing buttons on his control panel. "What is this?" "Your primitive attempts at cyber warfare are." The transmission cut off suddenly. "The virus is working," Sunmi shouted excitedly. "Their computers are trying to be perfect, but my code is too messy. They can't ignore it or fix it because it's not supposed to do anything specific." Through the command center's windows, they could see flashes of light in the night sky. The dead satellites were starting to hit the alien ships. The impacts weren't causing much damage, but they were forcing the aliens to move out of their perfect formation. "Look at their ships," Ta-1 said, pointing at his tactical display. "They're not sure what to do. Each captain is waiting for orders from their commander, but our virus is jamming their communications." Jaiho watched as the alien fleet's perfect order began to crumble. Some ships tried to maintain their historical battle formation, while others moved to avoid the falling satellites. None of them seemed to know how to handle a situation that wasn't in their centuries of training. 4 minutes until their deadline, Hey Newell announced. "And they're the ones looking confused now." Sunmi had moved to another computer and was typing rapidly. "I'm sending them more surprises," she said. "Random code that looks like targeting data, false sensor readings, emergency alerts that don't make sense. Their perfect systems have to process everything, even if it's nonsense." On various screens around the room, they could see the effects of their unconventional attack. Alien ships moved in conflicting directions, their perfect formation broken. Their communication system was flooded with garbage data. Even their weapons seemed confused, powering up and down as Sunmi's virus sent them random commands. 3 minutes, Hey Newell called out. Jaiho nodded, watching the chaos unfold. "Send word to all Earth Defense Forces. The moment their deadline arrives, hit them with everything we have. Their perfect training won't help them when every human on Earth starts thinking creatively." The alien fleet had trained for centuries to fight a traditional battle. Instead, they were facing a combination of falling space junk, confusing computer viruses, and humans who refused to follow the rules of warfare. Their perfect preparation was becoming their perfect nightmare.